用 IGCC 或 IGFC 有什么评论 ？So, anybody wants to answer that question?
I'm not the expert in that field, CCS, but what we see, at least from Germany, is we have strong debates on that, and there are two problems in that. One problem is the additional costs, because with CCS you have a reduced efficiency in electricity generation, so this is one problem. And the second problem is to provide the storage for the carbon costs a lot of money. This is one thing. I don't know if it will be possible to use cheap ways to store the carbon. The second problem, which we at least in Germany discussing, is that we don't know exactly what does this mean to pressure carbon into the earth. So influences on water and other underground issues, and so there are strong debates. Finally, it was several pilot plants were stopped, and we have at the moment no research ongoing in the large CCS power plants in Germany. This is the only thing what I can say.
Okay, next. I'll go to the next question. 台湾发展再生能源，而且是共识，但是如何推动？能源的价格。是民众的选择的主要考量。在当前台湾的相当便宜的电价之下，如何推动再生能源的使用？
Yes, you already have a feed-in tariff in Taiwan, so if you must more detailed look at the barriers like grid connections and also the most important things that more promoting the bottom-up community powers. The renewable energy is more easier to the new enters, like ordinary people can next day can be the wind power or solar power developers, or at the same time like a farmer can be with farming and with at the same time producing energy by renewable energy. So more and more people working on renewable energy, so those kind of capacity building program you need, I think.
I agree that there are beside the feed-in tariff, a lot of other aspects important to successfully run a feed-in tariff system. However, the most important barrier from my knowledge is here that you established a feed-in tariff system, but a feed-in tariff system which is capped. So in Germany, for example, and as I know from Japan, the feed-in tariff is provided to every system, to everybody who wants to connect the system to the grid. So a potential investor knows if he is in line with the regulations, he will receive the feed-in tariff payment if he wants to connect his system to the grid. So he has the right to connect his system to the grid, and he has the right to get the feed-in tariff payment. This is not limited. The only limitation in Germany is by a faster reduction of the feed-in tariff in the future, but everybody who wants to install a system can do it and has the right to do it, and he will receive the feed-in tariff payment. If I'm right, as long as I have read it in Taiwan, you have a different system that you have to apply for, and only a limited number and a limited capacity is accepted to receive the feed-in tariff payment. And so the first step, if the policy here is deciding to accelerate the speed of deployment of renewables, you have to increase the cap or delete the cap. So this is the biggest challenge at the moment, because if you only have I don't know, 100 megawatt a year approved by the government, then you will not see a growing market. So this is the most important discussion.
一个问题好像是给台湾的人，不是给外国的人。说必须打破台湾电力市场独占的结构，不同的能源产生有彼此竞争，要的方法才可以。我们怎么面对政府的政策这个问题？这个不是，我想这个不是外国人可以答案的，所以 maybe 等一下那个论坛的时候，台湾的教授们可以给我们指导。台湾目前没有土能源的技术与研发，如何发展土能源？Push the button.
Yes, how can anyone develop thorium nuclear energy? It isn't just the case of Taiwan. The work has to be accomplished somewhere first. I mean, it's not a solution that can exist right today. But we have to decide where that work needs to be done, and I was suggesting we could do that in Taiwan. But there are other opportunities. I mean, you know that France is doing work in that area, for example.
OK， 我加强那个，现在有欧洲有国家，比利时、法国、挪威，一些国家，中国大陆、美国一些公司，印度，世界有很多国家、很多公司在做土能源的研究，美国也有研究院也很有经验，像这个，那台湾呢可以参加国际合作。如果用国际合作的方式来做的话，就会很快，马上就可以参加，然后5年、10年内就可以有土能源。下一个问题比较简单 ，Is there any 目前世界有没有短期可以进行的能源 ？I think 我想这个答案是很明显，当然有。用太阳能、风能、地温就好了。OK， 除了土，是否有其他的元素可以代替 ？Other than thorium, is there another element, Professor?
For nuclear power, the only feasible sources are thorium and uranium. Yeah.
The next question is in English. The deployment of renewable energy in Taiwan has not been very successful. One reason is the monopoly from Taiwan Power. There is no incentive for Taiwan Power to increase the contribution of renewables. And it is hard for TWC, Taiwan Power, to find locations to install renewables. In my opinion, private local investment by business or local communities could solve that problem. In Germany, 50% of installed renewables are by community investment. What policies could the Taiwan government introduce to stimulate community investment in renewables?
I want to elaborate a little bit on the question how to deal with liberalization and how to stimulate the local activities. The local cooperatives in Germany didn't receive any additional stimulation besides the feed-in tariff concept. So the feed-in tariff which allows everybody, if it is one person or one family or a cooperative or also a company, to invest in renewable and get the tariff and therefore run a business with the solar or with the renewable energy system. But the origin for these cooperatives was that some of the people don't have a roof for a photovoltaic system, or they wanted to invest not only in photovoltaic but also in a windmill. So people from a community coming together and plant a windmill close to the city or close to the village. So this was a motivation to come together and build up such systems. But there were no additional benefit for them beside the fact that the feed-in tariff provides the opportunity for everybody to actively contribute and participate in the electricity market. Therefore, I come to back to your other question. I want to explain a little bit this issue, how to do the transformation and how to liberalize the electricity market. This is a challenge we see all over the world. I must say we are a little bit lucky in Europe, because also in Germany it was not so simple to do the transformation from 4 big utilities to separate the distribution and the generation and liberalize the market. But the European countries were pushed by the European Commission. Due to competition laws, the European Commission decided, and the European Union decided, to liberalize all European electricity markets. So the German government was pushed by the European level to do that liberalization, and all the other countries in Europe as well. If you don't have the push, and Taiwan don't have the push, Japan don't have the push, because you don't have a Europe level above you, it's much more difficult. And the only advice from my side would be, if it is the case, and this is typical, up to now you have the electricity sector, the energy sector, which is working more or less together with the government, so they have a common interest to continue with the policy and with the way how they worked in the past. So you need an additional initiative, an additional power to push that actors to separate that and to push the policy to do the separation in the electricity sector. And therefore my recommendation is that the public sector, the parties and NGOs are coming together and saying, bringing that discussion onto the table, discussing in the society that it would be a good idea, because the whole society is benefiting from the liberalization. It is needed that an NGO or a new power brings that topic onto on the table and into the discussion. That's important.
Do I have 1 more minute? Okay. 下一个问题是问我的。他说：“叶博士，你已经来过台湾，因为来谈能源的问题几次了。李总统是最支持你的理念，可是从今天的报告看起来，经济部还有其他机构还需要尽快实行这个。请问你愿不愿意直接和行政院长或马总统直接沟通？”请你向他们说几句话。Okay, now my answer. 我完全不知道政治 ，politicals。我只是一个科学家，我只提供资讯 ，and 我愿意提供资讯给任何人，包括任何人。OK， 全世界，包括全世界，因为我现在常常在被邀去全世界开会，就是提供一些资讯给世界的领导人。谢谢。Okay, we run out of time. 谢谢。
Okay.
Thank you.
Let's give our speakers a very warm applause.
Thank you.
Thank you for clear our questions.